Hey everybody, Billy from Billy's Bike Adventures. How are you? Hope you're doing well this evening. Thank you for tuning in. Great to be here with you this evening for the first of a monthly live broadcast from me, Billy. And be great to have you along and be part of the Billy's Bike community. And so what I'd like to do first of all, I just excuse the headphones, by the way. Got my mic set up, got everything set up here. So I want to check that everything is working okay. So wherever you are in the world, I know I've got a few watchers, Spain, Portugal, America, Australia, Mexico, obviously the UK as well. Just let me know where you are. It'd be great to know where you are, and also to understand, how does my voice sound? Am I coming through nice and clear? And also, what do I look like? No descriptions on what I actually look like, but can you see me okay as far as the video, as far as the live feed is concerned? So let's start with that, shall we, and get some questions from you or comments from you regarding volume and how I look as well. So I hope it's coming through loud and clear, and that you can see me okay. I'm going to keep the headphones on for a little while longer, just because it helps me hear if there's any feedback, just for the time being, until I get some thumbs up from you in terms of picture quality and sound. It'll be great to hear what that sounds like. There is a chat function, or you should be able to find the chat function on the screen. And just let me know there if you are hearing me and seeing me okay. Ray Whiting, sounds good. Good picture, and it's good. Thank you very much, Ray. Ray, just let me know where you are as well. If you're in the UK, or if you're abroad, overseas, anywhere else, just let me know where you are as well. Be good to know where you are and how far the signal is reaching. So, so for those of you that have seen me before, great to have you on board. Thank you for being part of the Billy's Bike Adventure community. I'm relatively new to adventure motorbiking, but just been doing it a few years now. Believe it or not, I spent 10 years in Australia. I came back 4 years ago, and I only got into adventure motorbike riding when I came back from Australia. And then, having since come back, of course, there's a whole world around KTM and their adventure rallies that they do. And so I missed a bit of a trick there when I didn't partake in adventure riding in Australia. But here now, back in Blighty, and enjoying the adventure biking scene, and been doing it for a good few years now, and cycled through a number of bikes. I started with a KTM 1190, and then I went to Ducati for a little while, and the Ducati 1200 Enduro was not a particularly good bike for me, and I can talk more about that in future videos. But I'm recently just got rid of a 1290 Adventure R, so that was my last bike that I had. 1290 Super Adventure R, superb bike, and I'm now on a KTM 690R Enduro R. And is in preparation for a trip to France, doing the French Tête later this year, end of June, beginning of July, and I'll share more dates about that as we go through today's live show. So, Ray, you're in Norwich. Oh, Ray, you're not actually too far away from me, mate. You are. I'm only a stone's throw. I'm in Cambridgeshire, so in Cambridge, so only a stone's throw away, which is good. So maybe we can hook up at some stage for a ride out. I don't know what bike you're riding, Ray. Just let me know what bike you're riding as well. That'd be good. If you ride enduro, if you're on a cruising bike or a touring bike, just let me know that as well. That'd be good, actually. And so that's a little bit about me. Really excited to be doing the live stream, and I suppose the goal for me on the live broadcast is really to get to know you more, and also just to share some of the things that I'm doing, and talk about bikes in general, and a lot of things that you're doing, as well as a lot of things that are going on in the industry as well. So I suppose I've got a bit of a running order for today, and it's really just to focus on a few things. I want to talk about some of the bikes that I've had, and why I've had them, and why I've come to change those bikes, and it'd be great to get your input as to your experiences with either the same bikes or the reasons that you wouldn't touch the bikes that I've ridden before. I want to talk about some tires as well. So I'm in a bit of a predicament at the moment about which tires to be using. So great to get your input around that as well. And I also want to talk about the KTM My Ride navigation app. You might have seen some of the videos that I've done on the My Ride app, and some of you have been good enough to exchange comments with me and to give me your feedback. So I just want to share some of the Billy's Bike Adventures community comments and feed those back to you as well, and also just to get your input as well. I got one comment yesterday from Miguel in Portugal, so I'll talk a little bit about that later on as well. So Ray, you're on a BMW 1000 trading in on Saturday. The Super Adventure S. I did try a GS Adventure R a while ago, and I got no problem with the GS Adventure R. It was the only thing I found for it is because I'm quite leggy. I'm 6'2", because I'm quite leggy. When I first pulled over on the bike, very comfortable, got very, very nice power delivery. But when I first pulled over and went to put my feet down, the big boxer engine got in my way, and I almost went over. And that's just because I'm used to not having obviously a big engine sticking in the way of where I'm going to put my feet down to give me some support. But I actually almost fell over because I kicked the engine as I went to put my feet down. So I went to put them down and out slightly, and that just put me off a little bit. But as far as the bikes are concerned, they're very, very popular. You see them around everywhere, and I don't have any real issue with them. Other than I think that experience about almost dropping it when I first pulled over, and I think also just the weight of the bikes, because the weight of the bikes, the center of gravity is quite low. I've seen and some videos and also heard some stories about them getting bogged down in some loose sand and loose gravel and what have you. But that's not to say that they're not good bikes, but it's good that you're switching to KTM. My experiences with KTM have been very good, actually. I'm sure you've probably test ridden the Super Adventure R before, or Super Adventure S before you purchase as well, Ray. But my experiences with KTM so far have been overwhelming. So let me just talk about some of the bikes that I have. So I started as a young lad on a head down arse up bike, a Yamaha R6. My stepdad had an R1 actually, and really, really good to have gotten the R1 and he was living in the Isle of Man at the time when I tried that bike. So I got to ride around it on the TT track, which was brilliant. Obviously, it was a normal day, no racing or anything like that, but it was good. And so that was my younger days, head down, arse up, kind of riding with a good pal of mine, Stefan, and some good days. But as I said, went to Australia, lived there for 10 years, and didn't touch a motorbike at all. No offense to Australians or anybody that lives in Australia that isn't an Australian and drives or rides and what have you, but it is petrifying on the roads in Australia. So an example of why it's scary is that slip roads onto motorways, you actually get people queuing on the slip road. So the people on the motorway that are passing a slip road, they don't move over, or some of them don't move over to let you onto the motorway. So you find that people are a little bit too scared to maneuver themselves to have control and to move onto the motorway. So they end up queuing on the slip road. And roundabouts is a whole another animal. So I never actually rode a bike in Australia, and I'm really disappointed because, as I said, when we opened up this the broadcast, it was such a huge KTM adventure bike scene in Australia, and I missed a trick there by not getting on our two-wheeled friends. So very much excited to be doing it here in the UK now. And then when I came back from Australia, I bought a KTM 1190 Adventure, and it was brilliant. Comfort wise, not an issue. Height wise, no problem at all. Power wise, actually, when I left KTM Hemel Hempstead, actually, once the engine had warmed up a little bit, I opened her up quite a bit, and I was almost straight off the back. I'd forgotten how powerful these bikes are, so that was quite interesting. And then I sold it because it was a second-hand bike and it was high mileage, and I didn't want to buy a high mileage, but I didn't want to buy a brand new bike when I was just getting into adventure riding. So sold it, and I was looking for finance on a bike at the time, and actually Ducati gave me quite a good deal, and I ended up with a Ducati 1200 Enduro. And my first experience, so this is only my personal experience, hated it. Absolutely hated it. The most uncomfortable bike that I've ever sat on. And a lot of reviews after I got the bike suggested that you would get a comfort seat. And I actually did that. Did make a big difference. So from a comfort point of view, fine. From a power point of view, fine. Bit bulky up top. You felt the high center of gravity. It was quite high, big bulky tank, but rode beautifully, and it was great. The only other issue I had with the Ducati was that second, third, fourth, and fifth changing up through the gears, it kept finding a force neutral. And on a bike like that, for the money that I paid for it, I just wasn't happy with it. So I was actually on a trip back from being in North Wales and back to Cambridge, and a few, well, probably about a half a dozen to a dozen times, it found force neutral on the motorway as I was changing up and down gears, and scared the life out of me. So literally the following day, I went back to KTM in Hempstead and traded it in for the mighty 1290 Super Adventure R. And again, comfort-wise, not a problem. Height-wise, not a problem. Felt less bulky at the front. Quite a narrow bike, actually, compared to the Ducati Enduro. And absolutely loved it. Absolutely fantastic. So really, really happy that I went back to KTM, and as I say, I've swapped bikes again now. Now the purpose behind swapping from a KTM 1290 Super Adventure R to the 690 Enduro R is that my mate and I are going to be doing the Transi Trail in France later this year, and I don't have the ability and the confidence to be doing it on a large adventure dual sport motorbike like the 1290 Super Adventure R. My skill level, I think, probably doesn't allow it for, certainly in the technical parts of it. So that's why I've ended up on the 690. So hopefully I'm going to go there, have a really, really good time, and conquer everything that the Tet has to offer. With my good pal Stefan on the 690, and I'll be back on a larger adventure bike next year. Can't afford to keep the two bikes at the moment, so hence I've only got the one bike, and that's the 690. But back on the larger bike, I'll have two bikes next year, the larger bike as well. So for me, probably back on a KTM 1290. I think my mate might be trying the Africa Twin, I think. So keep watching, and there'll be videos on that as we get those bikes as well. So a long way off yet, but good to know that you're going to be on a KTM, right? It'd be really, really good to hear your feedback on how you get on with it. Let us also know if you've got any long trips planned with it. It's an awesome touring bike. Seen a lot of videos about riders that have been French and Swiss Alps, etc., and have had really, really good experiences on the Super Adventure S. So it'd be good to get your thoughts on it once you've had a good couple of tries on it. So yeah, that'll be good. So who else have we got watching? Stefan, thanks for tuning in, mate. From Sale, okay, a little bit further away, so that's good. Live feed is good, and he can hear me good as well. Fantastic. So I wonder if any more people are going to be joining, just to give me a heads up on the sound and the feed to them wherever they are currently. But whilst we're waiting for those guys to tune in, yeah, I want to talk about the 690 a little bit more. So I bought a 690 with a rally raid kit recently. So quite a new bike or different type of bike for me, usually heavier or faster bikes. So the 690 is, I think, the ideal bike. And I find it interesting that KTM they've launched the 790 along with the new 690 as well. And 1090 is going to disappear. 1290s will continue. I want to hear your thoughts on the 790. Why would you buy the 790? Would you use the 790 to replace your larger adventure bike, so something like the 1290, or would you continue to have both? So would you have a larger KTM adventure bike and use that for the touring, and would you have a 790 as well? For me, when I was looking at purchasing the Enduro, I thought that the 790, I'm not sure why you would buy a 790 to replace. If you're replacing your 1290 or your larger ones and you're just going to stick with that and do everything on that bike, then that's absolutely, I think it's a superb bike for that. But there's a couple of issues I have with the 790. First of all, there's good deals around at the moment on the 1090. Why wouldn't you buy the 1090 over the 790? And also, the 690 is far more, I think, appropriate bike for doing the off-roading than the 790. The 790, not much weight difference between that and the larger, the 1090 or the 1290. 1290, I think there's probably a 20 or 30 kilogram saving, possibly a bit more, I think. Not much more than that, though. But you come down to the 690 and you start looking at 40 or 50 kilograms saving. So I'll be interested to get your comments on why you would go 790 if you're thinking about off-road and not heading down to a 690 or a 500 EXC. So let me know your comments on that as well. I went for the 690, and so is my mate. Didn't want to give up the 1290, but actually ended up doing that. So I'm looking forward to trying that on the 10 and just seeing how that goes. So there we go. So anybody else that's tuned in, let me know where you are. It'd be good to hear where you are and how I sound, what the picture's coming like, what the picture quality is like. Excuse me, I'll just take a drink. It'd be good to know where you are, what the picture quality is like, and how I'm sounding. So let me know where you are. Put your comments in the message box there, and it'll be good to hear more from you and find out where you are. And also let me know what you're currently riding as well. We've had Ray on, who's got a BMW, but he's going to be trading that in for KTM. So good luck with that, Ray, when you do that. But just let me know where you are, and be good to see how well my channel is going around the world at the moment. So a couple of things from me about what's going to be happening this year. So I mentioned the TET earlier, so the Trans-Euro Trail. So a nice big trip planned with my mate. Now we are going to be doing the trip from. We're going to be catching a ferry down to Santander, sorry, and then riding over to the French Pyrenees, conquering the French Pyrenees on our 690s, and then heading, I guess, up the spine of France. So if you don't know the Trans-Euro Trail and what it's about, it's a fantastic website and community called the Trans-Euro Trail. And it's essentially a 38,000 kilometer track around Europe and a few other places, and it takes in the UK as well. And it's predominantly off-road, but of course there are road links to get you to where you need to get to do the off-road stuff. So I believe that and this is just from communications I've had from a few people regarding the French TET, is that the westernly start of the French TET down at the French Pyrenees is there's a bit of road there, but it quickly moves into the mountains and some off-road lanes and tracks. So very much looking forward to doing that. Now, my mate and I are going to be doing that end of June, beginning of July, and that's going to be a 10-day trip. So really, really looking forward to tackling that on the Enduros. Get in touch with me. You can email me on billysbikeadventures@gmail.com. And it'll be great to hear about your experiences with the TET. Any heads up that myself or my mate would need to take advantage of prior to going. So as I say, we're going down to Santander, across to the French Pyrenees, and then across the French Pyrenees, and then up the Spine of France on the Tet route. So any learnings from you from when you went, let me know. It'd be really good, actually. Just this will be my first trip away on a motorbike, and it'd be good to get your heads up for me and my mate on things that we definitely need to take, some experiences that you had that you found challenging, and how you overcome them. Any particular tricky parts that you found on the track as well, do let us know, because that'll be important for my mate and I as we plan to traverse the Pyrenees and the Spine of France. So that'll be really, really good to get your input on that. When I come back from the Tet, I'm going to be doing the Overland event. Now, I've registered for that. That's going to be taking place 29th of August to the 1st of September. So I'll be attending the Overland event. Now, this will be the first time that I've attended one of these events as well. So I've not done the Overland before. I've not done the adventure bike meet before, or anything like this, let alone the KTM rallies or those types of events. So really looking forward to that one. And again, what I forgot to mention about the Tet and the Overland event is I'll be doing live streams from there. So for the Tet, I'm probably going to be doing a 15-minute stream from live stream at the end of the day, signal providing, of course, mobile signal providing, of course, that I'm able to get online and to do a live feed to you, just to give you highlights of what the day's been like, where we currently are, distance that we've traveled, the challenges of the day, and where we've ended up for the camp at the campsite for the night. So do stay tuned for more information about when those broadcasts are going to take place, and the times as well. So keep watching and stay tuned for that, and I'll let you know when those are taking place. I'll also be broadcasting from the Overland event as well. So as I lead up to that as well, there'll be some more information about that. But I'll be broadcasting a couple of live events or live broadcasts from the Overland event as well when I do that. The last one that I'm going to be the last definite thing that I'm going to be doing this year will be the Motorbike Live show. So I'm going to be going to that. Don't know the day yet, but I'll be going to Motorbike Live up at the NEC. And again, I'll be doing a little bit of a live broadcast from there. All details to follow. So make sure you keep watching and you stay tuned regarding that, because that'll be 3 events. And let me know some events that you've been to that you think that I should go to. As a relative newbie to adventure motorbiking, it'd be great to get your feedback on what are the really good events that you've been to, why were they great, and just let me know the date as well. Actually, that would be really useful and save me scouring the internet. But so the Tet France, end of June. Let me know what your experiences have been like. Not necessarily the French Tet that I'll be doing at the end of the June, but if you've done any part of the Trans-Euro Trail previously, let me know your experiences. What are the learnings that you got from that? What would you say to anybody? What advice would it be that you give to me, knowing that I'm going to be going now? What are the must-haves and the must-dos, and the must prepares for from your experiences on the Tet? And again, I'll be doing that on the 690 Enduro, so the KTM 690 Enduro. So let me have your feedback. billiesbikeadventures@gmail.com. So that is the 28th of June to the 7th of July. So keep watching and stay tuned for updates on that. As I said, Overland event, 28th of August to the 1st of September. I'll be going to that. And of course, Motorcycle Live, hope to see you there. And that'll be the 16th to the 24th. Don't know what day I'm going to be going up yet. Keep watching, and I'll be sure to make sure that I'll let you know when you're going there. So we've got a couple of other more people here. Steve 67, hi from Glasgow, currently offshore. In Holland, I ride the 1090R. Stephen, the 1090, fantastic. I have test ridden the 1090, not aggressively, I might add, but I know Birchie favors the 1090. So let me know how long you've had it, Steve. That'd be good to know when you've had it. And you say that you're going to be doing France in May the 6th. We'll probably do one day on the Tet, as it's mainly a tour. Oh, fantastic. And are you going to be doing that on your 1090, Steve? Be good to know, actually. But When you do it, let me know what part of the TET that you did. It'll be good to get your feedback on how the large adventure bike fared. I don't know what your skill level's like, and you're probably a bit of a better rider than me, I have to say. So I had the 1290 Adventure R, Steve, and sold it or swapped it recently for the 690R, and that's really because me and my mate, when we do go to the Trans Euro Trail, want to be absolutely sure that I can tackle all parts of the Trans Euro Trail. I don't want to be in a position where I get there on my 1290 and I go, oh, do you know what? I can't tackle that. I don't think I'm going to be able to tackle that because of the weight of the bike. So hence why I switched to the 690, lighter bike, and capable of doing both the road and the off-road. And I hope that it's not going to stop me from doing any parts of the French TET. So when you do the TET in May, let me know which part you did and how you fared with the 1090. Magnificent machine, and it'll be good to know your experiences. Dave, welcome. How are you? Good to have you join, mate. Let me know what I sound like. Have you got a good picture as well? When will you be going on the TET? Well, you just thanks for dialing in as well, by the way. Just talking about that. So doing the Trans Euro Trail the 28th of June to the 7th of July. So catching a ferry down to Santander, across the French Pyrenees, and then back up the spine of France. We've got about 9 to 10 days. I don't know how long it's going to take us to cross the French Pyrenees. Spoke to the French linesman recently. He was saying that he did it on a 1090 recently, and it took him about four days. So he's probably done it quite a few times. So I'm not sure. I mean, given that it'll be our first time, will be novices from a TET point of view, novices from a 690 point of view, and novices from an off-road driven tour. So it might take us a bit longer, given that we'll probably be stopping every photographic opportunity to take some pictures and some videos, and of course I'm going to be doing some filming, and my mate Stefan will be doing some filming, to pull together some good footage to show you what it was like when we come back. So we're planning probably 4 or 5 days, and then 4 or 3 days up the spine of France. So thanks, by the way, for letting me know. Sound and picture quality is good for you, Davey. Thank you very much, mate. So I hope that helps. I am going to be doing a live broadcast, hopefully every day from the French TET. Now, this is mobile signal dependent, of course, because I'll be doing it from my mobile phone, and it depends where I'm going to be and whether I've got a mobile signal. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Most of the time, we'll be passing through a village at some stage on each day that we ride the French TET. And that we'll probably stop off before we camp at a village to be able to pick up some vino, some red wine, and some ham and a baguette, and just settle down for the night. So whilst we're in the town getting the food, we'll probably do the live broadcast from there. So fingers crossed, every single day on the TET, I'll be able to do a 10-15-minute live broadcast just to tell you where we are, how the day has gone, what are the ups and downs, what are the challenges, what didn't go so well, and what we absolutely loved. So keep watching that. That'll be hopefully quite interesting for everybody, challenging for me and my mate. And so just regarding the TET, myself and my mate, we will be doing the UK TET, or part of it, prior to our trip to France at the end of June. The weekend has not been agreed yet, but we will be doing part of the TET, to test the kit, test our bikes, test the tent, test the new panniers that we've got, test our cooking gear, and try and eliminate any issues with our kit before we go, so that hopefully the only issues that we do have potentially might be just with our skill levels and our riding. So stay tuned for where we're going to be going on the UK TET and what date. Great to have you along, whether you can do half a day, a full day, or even the whole weekend with us. If you're able to come along, it'd be great. We can have a chat, have a beer, and do some riding together as well, which will be absolutely superb. So keep watching. I will let you guys know when we're going to be doing the UK TET to test out our kit. So that'll be a good experience as well. That's probably, what are we now? We are end of March. So it's probably going to be in the next 6 to 8 weeks, I would imagine, just so that we can give the bikes and the kit a proper test and then rectify any issues prior to our departure for France. So keep watching, and I will let you know. Yeah. We're not planning on doing any damage to ourselves, Dave. Fingers crossed. Although, if you've seen my video on my channel of our trip to Northumberland National Park, and I crashed my KTM, hopefully that's the worst that it's going to be, and I've learnt my lesson from that, and I'll be on a lighter bike, and my skill level hopefully would have increased by then. But if it does happen, hopefully that's as bad as it's going to get. But I'm sure my mate or I will have footage of each other that we can share, and for people to have a giggle at, as long as it's not too serious, when we come back from the TED as well. So thanks, Dave, for your support. Really great to have you along on the as part of the community as well. So thank you. So with that, I don't know if there's any more. Keep the questions coming on the chat. If you've got any questions about what we've talked about so far, the Transi Road Trail, the Overland Event, or Motorcycle Live, do let, or any questions for me in general about the channel or me, just let me know. Flick them through on the chat there, so that I'll see those come up. Want to move on now to something that I've done a couple of videos on recently, and that was the KTM My Ride navigation app. Now, I've done a couple of videos about this. First video I did was just really reviewing the version 1 of the My Ride app. So that was version 1 as far as the app was concerned, and version 1 from the software on the KTMs. Stephen had it for 2 years, and yes, we'll be using it. The Tour have a 350 EXE. Oh, the 6 days. Very, very nice, Stevie. Jacobson, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Thank you for joining us from Spain. Let me know how I'm coming through for you. I hope it's a good picture. Sound quality is good. Thank you for joining from Spain, and glad to know you've got the 1290 as well. Superb bike. So as I was saying, yeah, the KTM My Ride app. So I had version 1 of the app, and of course the software version on the TFT screen. Worked fine. My only, I thought it was a good first effort from KTM. My only desires, I suppose, for the second version, and I don't know about this because I don't have the updated version or a TFT screen to watch it on anymore. But my only desires for version 2 was version 1 just lacked a little bit of detailed information regarding your turn-offs from a roundabout. So I know it's turn by turn, and that's absolutely fine. That worked absolutely fantastic. When it came to the roundabouts, though, you only had a picture of one roundabout with one turn-off, and that turn-off didn't really align to the actual exit you were going to take on the roundabout. And in small writing underneath, as you know, there was instructions on whether you're going to take the first, second, third, or fourth exit. And when you're riding along, that writing is actually quite small to read when you're riding along, and you're relying on the visual, the graphical representation of the roundabout to determine, if you're not familiar with the roundabout, which exit you're going to take. So that was my only criticism or opportunity, if you like, for the second version. And when KTM updated the app, but not the software, personally for me, and I did a video about this, personally for me, it reigned chaos with my phone, and my TFT screen no longer worked, could no longer pair, or I could pair. The navigation wouldn't work for me. Now, I did get feedback from some viewers that saw the video, or the second video that I did, about the version 2 update. And they were saying that sometimes it worked fine for them. They had to repair the phone, not repair it from a fixed point of view, but repair it with the TFT screen. And some riders and some of you said that it was fine, but for me personally, didn't work at all. So really, really bad experience. Spoke to KTM about what they were doing about that, my local dealer in Hemel Hempstead. To my surprise, KTM Austria don't actually inform the dealers of when they're going to be sending out an update. You would simply have to book your bike in for a service or a checkup, and they plug the bike into the computer upgrade, and if there happen to be a software package there to update the MyRide app, so be it. They don't actually know when it comes out. So I believe now the software is there for the update, but there is another problem with the 2019 bike. So I've had a Miguel from Portugal. He was saying to me that he's spoken to KTM about his bike, and his 2019 1290 Adventure has got a bug in it where it's not communicating. Or it doesn't have a fixed it doesn't have a memory of communicating. So he has to repair his phone and the TFT screen every time he switches the bike off and switches it back on, which is a nightmare. He's been told by KTM that they're going to do a recall on it. So if you've got a 2019 KTM and you use the MyRide KTM navigation app and you pair it with your phone, do let me know how that's going. If you've had any issues with it, does it work well for you? For Miguel in Portugal, he's had issues. He has to pair his phone every time he gets on his bike. So do let me know how that goes, and also just let me know as well if you have an update letter from or a recall letter from KTM about repairing that software on the TFT screen so that it can talk to the phone and the TFT. Well, it can remember the pairing. So I believe that. So they haven't got this right yet. There's still a few issues. As I said, my initial criticism of the graphical representation. Let me know how that's going. If you've had the version 2 update on your TFT screen and you've got the version 2 app, let me know what the graphical representation is like now. Is it better? Is it no different? Have you noticed any changes from that? It'd be great to get your feedback on that. Dave, my dealer informed me about update available 2 or 3 weeks ago. Was that a recall, Dave? Was that a letter that you got as a recall, or was it just your local dealer saying, we're going to have the software, come in, we'll update your bike and we'll get it fixed for you? Let me know if it was a recall from KTM. Dave, you've got the version 1 KTM MyRide still running okay. Very good. Yeah. So that's the other thing that I put on the video, is that if you haven't updated your app to version 2, don't do it until you've done the update to either your 2017, 2018 model bikes. I inadvertently updated or had the update automatically done on my phone, and once that happened, it was just chaotic with the bike. So no, local dealer just told me while chatting, no official. Okay, so yeah, so I mean that's what they essentially said to me is, take it in, and if you're due for a service, take it in. I felt they were a bit reluctant just to take it in, just to do an update, just for the software. I can understand that because they're quite busy, right? But it's frustrating as a rider that you've got to wait until a service comes up to get that update. So good that you still got the version 1, Dave. That should mean that until you get the update on the TFT screen software, yours should work fine. Mine didn't, which was a nightmare. So and for those of you that got the 2019 model, yeah, let me know if you get a recall letter. It'd be good to understand the information. And also with Miguel in Portugal, it'd be interesting to see how quickly globally KTM get this sorted out. From my perspective, Austria have not communicated well with dealers in the UK. Certainly not from my local dealer, Hemel Hempstead, that down there in Hemel Hempstead. Great bunch of guys down there, but they've not communicated well with them. So it'll be good to understand globally what's happening in different countries, particularly around Europe, where our cousins and sisters live. It'll be good to understand that. So send that information through. Be really, really good. I've got my running sheet here. I'm just ticking off things as I go along. So bear with me. I'm just making sure that I'm covering everything that I wanted to cover. So we talked about the MyRide app. Is there any info any better on the TFT? No, so we've covered all of that. So unless there's any more questions on the TFT screens and the My Ride navigation app. Going to move on now to tyres. Let me just take another sip here. So tyres. So for those of you that are not aware, I am now on a 690 Enduro R. So no longer on the mighty beast, the 1290. And for those of you that joined a little bit later, the reason that I'm not on the 1290 is because I'm doing a little bit more off-road riding this year. That's the plan with my mate, and we're doing the TET as we've already talked about. And for my skill level, taking on the TET on a large, heavy 220 kilogram motorbike, a little bit daunting, especially if there's going to be some technical stuff. I want a bit of a lighter bike, something that I can go and I can ensure that I can tackle all that the TET has to offer. So that's why I'm on a 690. Tyres, though. Currently, I've got some really proper off-road knobblies, to the point where the bike that I bought had moose fillers in them, moose inners inside them. So not ideal for road to get to the TET. And not really ideal for my skill level of riding. So I'm getting those changed at the moment. But in terms of tyres, for those of you that have done the TET or have done a little mixture of tours where it's 20-30% road, but the rest is off-road, let me know what tyres you've been using. I've got knobblies, proper knobblies on there at the moment, proper off-road knobblies. I'm feeling that I might want to do a 50-50. So if you've done the TET or any part of the TET around the world, let me know what tyres you used, and also were they the right tyres, and if not, what tyres would you use? I've had Heidenau's before now, the K60 Scouts. I used those to go up to Northumberland National Park. Did some off-roading there in Kielder Forest, which is not the recent trip, but a trip that I did a couple of years ago. The K60 Scouts on there. Brilliant tyre, really hard wearing. Got a hard compound. Reviews of the tyre were suggesting, upwards of 5,000 miles on those tyres. So hence why I went for a 50-50 Heidenau K60 Scout. For the 690 Enduro, what tyres would you recommend? So if you've ridden a similar bike and you've done a similar kind of journey, or you have done the TET, let me know what you've ridden and what you would use in terms of the tyre. Thanks, Steve. Just reading your comment about no words with KTM. Not nice, to be honest. They will only update when getting service. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what they said to me, is that book it in once you need a service. So yeah, sorry to hear that. That's not actually good. So communication from KTM on the My Ride navigation app, not very good at all. So back to the tyres. Now I am thinking that I don't want to be on a proper off-road knobbly. I'm going to be doing quite a lot of miles on road. I want the ride to be comfortable, but also when I'm off-road, I also want it to be safe and have the right tyres. So let me know what tyres. I am thinking something along the lines of the Heidenau's. I don't think I'm going to keep the proper knobblies on there. And I think that's probably just more from a comfort thing more than anything. Quite a lot of vibration. And I suppose the road safety is not as good with those proper knobblies as well. So let me know which ones you've used in the past and which ones would you recommend. It'd be really good, because I want to make sure that I choose the right tyres before I go. And I've only got limited knowledge about all of these tyres, but part of the Billy's Bike Adventures community, it'd be good to get your input on the tyres you think we should be using. So let me know. You can either comment on here now, and that would be great. If not, send me an email, Billy's Bike Adventures at gmail.com. Just let me know and get in touch. That'll be absolutely fantastic. So so that's the tyres that we've talked about. So I just want to throw a couple of questions open to you guys that are watching now. And I suppose the big one for me is, if you could have two bikes, one for a lighter bike and a heavier bike. A lighter bike for probably doing a little bit more off-roady stuff. I've predominantly stuck with KTMs. What would they be? What would be the 2 bikes that you would definitely have in your garage for the type of riding that you like to do? Let me know. It'd be good to have your comments on the chat there. And it'll be good to just talk about that a little bit more, because such a minefield of bikes out there at the moment. I mean, mentioned it earlier on in this video, KTM releasing the 790. You've got the 1090 and the 1290s. One, for me, I don't understand why you would get a 790. If that was going to be the only bike you were going to have, why you would get a 790? If you're going to have 2 bikes, surely you'd go 690 or a 500 EXC and one of the larger bikes. But it'd be good to know what your thoughts are on having 2 must-have bikes in the garage. If you could have 2 bikes, I can't at the moment. Hence why I've got rid of the 1290 and gone down to the 690. But do let me know. It'd be good to get your feedback on that. So just stick it in the chat there. Be good to have your comments on that. So who do we have still watching? I don't know if Jacobson is still online. Dave, Stephen. Let me know if you're still here. It'd be good to know who is still online. I can't actually see. Let me just see audience. Let's have a look. Participants. No, not showing. But Stephen, what do you got? KTM 1090R Adventure and KTM 300 2-stroke. Had the 500 EXC, bit of a handful, to be honest, on long days. Was that the comfort then? The 690 has got the, I think it's got the standard seat on it that I bought the bike with. And interestingly, the weekend away that I've got coming up to test the kit will tell me whether or not I need to be buying a new comfort seat for the bike. Now, I recently tested the 790, the new 790. The boys at KTM got their hands on one pretty early. So I tested the new 790. 690. I tested the new 690. Got it when did they get it? When did I ride it? About 5 weeks ago. 5 or 6 weeks ago. So I tested rode that, and I also rode a Husky. I've got to say, the seats took me back to my Ducati days when one of the most uncomfortable bikes that I've ever ridden. The new 690 seat and the Husky seat, not a comfortable seat. I couldn't be riding on that for 10 days. I'd have to change that seat to a comfort seat. That wouldn't be good. Definitely get comfort seat. I had this concept seat. I'm very much thinking about seat concepts for my 690. Like I say, it's got the standard seat in it at the moment. It doesn't appear to be as hard as the new 690 or the Husky 701 that I test rode recently. I after about 45 minutes I took the Husky out first of all. So after about 45 minutes on that, my back was starting to hurt. And then same thing, that just continued when I went out on the 690 after that. Of the 2 bikes, I did prefer the 690. The 690 was, whilst the comfort was just as bad, it does come with the quick shift. And I love the quick shift on motorbikes. So it's just the ease of changing down and changing up gear, especially when you're up on the pegs and fanning around with the clutch. It just, for me, just makes it a little bit easier. And it was just a nicer. I just felt it was a nicer bike. But the seats, so hard to be on those bikes all day. So you've been, Steve. So you've been on the new 690R as well, have you, mate? You've test ridden that. It was super smooth. I just found the delivery of the power was much nicer. I know they're supposed to be almost identical bikes, but for me, the Husky was a little bit more rugged. There are differences in terms of the setup. Husky is certainly more suited to a lot more travel in the suspension. Fuel tank's about the same size, power's the same size, but there are differences in the travel of the suspension, both front and rear. And so the Husky is certainly more set up for a more rugged off-road ride. 690, I guess you can fiddle around with the suspension a little bit, but the Husky certainly set up better, I think, for an off-road setting, and therefore the comfort seat, I suppose, doesn't come into it because you're going to be on the pegs all the time. But the 790, I felt was a much nicer bike. So, that's. I'm looking forward to testing the seat on the weekend. The riding that I've done on my bike so far, the 690 that I bought, I don't think I'm going to have an issue after a couple of hours, but I think it's going to be at the end of long days. I'm not sure I'm going to be suited to having that standard seat, so I think I will be getting a concept seat or seat concept seat. Let me know if you've used any other comfort seats as well for 690 Enduros. I think seat comforts, concept seats are one of the probably the best, but it'd be good to hear if anybody else has had experiences from any other manufacturers regarding comfort seats. It'd be good to get your views. Billy's Bike Adventures at gmail.com. Let me know, or leave a comment on here now on the chat. We've got a few more people joining. Let me know where you are and where you are in the world, and how I sound, and what the video is coming like. So we've got a few more people that have just joined. So do let me know where you are. Stick it in the chat on the side there, and it'd be good to know where you are. And some of the questions that I've asked is during this broadcast. We've only got just under 10 minutes left, but some of the questions I've asked regarding information from you guys is if you've done the TET in France or any other part of the TET, do let me know where you've been and what that was like, the challenges. What did you learn? What are the must-haves? What are they? Or I wish I had done that. Do let us know that. And also what tyres you've used on your motorbike in terms of good long journeys with a good amount of off-road. So if we were saying road to off-road, about a 70-30 split to favouring off-road, let me know what tyres you've used as well. Steve 67 tried the 701. Tried it about 5 months ago. Thought that it was also good. Did a bit in the UK. TET on it. It had Mitas CO2s. Is that right? Tyres on it. More off-road and good tyres, mainly off-road though. Oh, right, okay. I think a mate of mine actually mentioned to me the Mitas tyres, and I was considering potentially looking at Mitas for replacing the tyres on my Enduro bike in prep for the TET, but we'll have a look at that. I don't know if you've tried the Heidenhaus, Stephen 67. Let me know. It'd be good to get your views on any others that you've tried as well, or if you tried the Heidenhaus. My mate had the what did he have on? He had the Contis. I think he's had on our first trip to Northumberland National Park a couple of years ago. Brand new set of tyres, and to be honest, he did give it a bit of a welly on the road as well as off-road, and that trip was about 1,000 miles, and he probably only had about another 1,000 miles out of those tyres. So a little bit of an expensive trip from a tyre point of view, but honestly, stuck to the roads just as good as a road bike, as a racing bike. There was a couple of guys in front of us, or in front of him. He was very much keeping up with the guys that were on the head down, arse up kind of bikes, and he had these knobblies on, absolutely brilliant. So really good. So yeah, be sticking to what I've tried before. I haven't, but my mate has just fitted them to his 1190, so find out when he's away. Right, okay, that'd be good. Yeah, fantastic. So I don't know if anybody else has got any more questions at the moment. As I say, just to recap, away in France, the TET in France, 28th of June to the 7th of July. Live broadcast will be happening then. 29th of August to the 1st of the 9th, there will be the Overland Event. Don't know what day I'm going to be going, or days I will be going, but I will be going to that. So stay tuned for when I'm going to be away there. And the Motorcycle Live in November, I'll be doing that as well. Now, the April broadcast for Billy's Bike Adventures, it's going to be a day earlier. It's going to be on the 25th. I've got a prior commitment that I unfortunately can't move. So ideally, what I'll be going to be doing this on the last Tuesday of each month. It's going to be on the last Monday of April. So I will put a date in the diary for that, but it will be the day before. and so I'll send out an update about that. So sorry for the change in the days there, as I got a commitment that I just simply cannot move, unfortunately. But so it means, unfortunately, Billy's Bike Adventures has to move to the previous day. So I'll put a note up on Billy's Bike Adventures for doing that. So that's going to wrap me up for today. Thank you very much for dialing in, taking the time to dial in. Thank you very much for your input to the questions and the chat today. You got any questions that come out of today, do let me know. Billy's Bike Adventures at gmail.com, or you can leave this video will go onto the Billy's Bike Adventures channel. You can leave a comment underneath the channel, underneath the video when this goes up on the channel. So thank you very, very much indeed for watching. Thank you for being part of the Billy's Bike Adventures community, and very much look forward to talking to you next month. So for now, safe riding, and see you again very soon.